In this video, we are going to walk through a coding solution to the fetch highest rated hotel name REST API technical interview question. So let's jump in. So in this question, we are to call a paginated REST API, which is API hotels, which takes the response body will include a total pages as well as a data object. So the response here includes total pages, which represents the number of pages of data in the paginated API. Our task is to return the name of the hotel with the highest rating from all of the hotels. If several hotels share the same rating, we want to return the hotel whose names come first alphabetically. And so if the status is not 200 or any error occurs, we simply will return an empty string. So looking at an example, we have our mock data here, where we have two objects and we have two total pages, which makes sense. Within each object, we have our data attribute, which represents the data. Here it's an array with two hotels that have a rating of 4.7 and 4.8. And then we also have our total pages field, which in this case is 2. And then same thing here, we've got our data attribute, which again has an array of two hotels, and again a total pages field of 2. We can clearly see here which hotel has the highest rating. Well, it's Bayview Resort, and so we simply return that. Now, looking at this other example, we have our mock data, which again is an array with our object here, which has the data field, which again has two hotels, and we only have total pages of 1. Both hotels have the same rating. And so in this case, the tiebreaker will be which one comes first alphabetically, and obviously Omega comes before Zenith, so therefore we will return Omega. So hopefully that makes sense. So to start off, I think the first thing is to add some error handling as we're making a network request. It's always good to try and handle any errors here. So we can say try catch and catch that error. As the description says, all we need to do is return an empty string if any errors happen. Next, what we want to do is to fetch the first page of data. So we can say const first equals await. And then we can say fetch, and then we can add in our base URL here, which is this API hotels endpoint. And then we can add on the page parameter here with 1 to get that first page. So next, what I want to do is I want to ensure that there is a status code of 200. And if not, we can again return an empty string. So if first dot status does not equal 200, well, then we can simply return an empty string like so. And then what I can do is I can say const data equals await first.json. And then we can get the total pages, say const total pages. So we want to cast it to a number, and we can say data.total pages like so. And we saw in our examples that we have a field total pages, which represents the total number of pages in this paginated endpoint. Then what we want to do is keep the best name and best rating. So what these will do is best name is what will be returned at the end of the function, and the best rating is what will be used internally to be able to figure out which hotel has the best rating. So I can say let best name is going to be an empty string for now, and then best rating, and we'll start this off at -infinity. So now that we've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define an inline function update, which we will call with this initial data, but as well as for any subsequent request we make to the endpoint, such that we are not duplicating logic. So I can say const update. And so this is a function which will take an array, and all we're going to be doing is updating our best name and best rating based on certain conditions. So I can say for const hotel of array. So firstly, we can check if the hotel rating, if it is greater than the best rating. Well, now we know it's better than the best rating. So if that is the case, or if the hotel, the current rating is equal to the best rating, and now we're at the tiebreaker, which is to make sure that it comes before it alphabetically. So I can say, so if they're equal and the hotel name is less than the best name, so if it's alphabetically lower, well then what I can do is I can update them. So I can say best rating equals the hotel rating, and then the best name equals the hotel dot name. And again, we've used let here because we are reassigning them in this function update here. So we can initially call this with our first data. So I can say update, I can say data.data because we're accessing the data attribute of this JSON parse data from our response, our first response here. And then what I can do is I can say create a loop. So I can say for let p equal 2. So we'll start at the second page, and then we will keep looping until p is less than or equal to the total, which we got total pages here, like so. And then finally we can increment p like that. And so we can say const or equals await fetch, And we can put in our base URL like that in our API hotels. And then all we need to do is simply pass in the current page. And again, if we get a non-200 response, we should return with an empty string. So if or.status does not equal 200, well, we can return an empty string. Otherwise, we can call update, and we will call that with await response.json. And then we'll access the data attribute to get access to the list of hotels. And then finally, once we're done all that, we can simply return best name like so. So let's run the tests and see if they pass. Perfect, the test passed. Let's run the test suite to make sure all the tests pass. Perfect, they all passed. So it's a very straightforward question when you walk through it like that, but when you're under the time constraints of an interview, it can actually be kind of challenging, so it's always good to practice them. So if you want to try it out for yourself, the link to the question is in the description, and hopefully you got some value out of it. If you did, please like and subscribe and share with a friend. It helps the channel out a lot, and I will see you in the next one.